So they adapt a diet over a period of 2 weeks per meal, more or less. Sometimes it's 4 weeks because they do it with each subsequent visit, so they don't get to see me again for a full month. And I hadn't had people run into trouble even with what Dr. Atkins described as the low-carb flu. If people are familiar with low carbing, often when you go from having a standard American diet and you drastically drop your carbs, you feel terrible for a while because you had a higher sugar level set point somewhere above the normal range, above 100, maybe 150, and in dropping it down, you're suddenly depriving your body of all this ready glucose, and you're going to feel bad for a while. Some people don't even have the low carb flu and they're fine. So that aspect of putting it on gradually seemed to avoid the low carb flu pretty successfully, but then I wondered, since I hadn't had people come back with complaints, I wondered what else could be the difference. So I put out a little contest and got about 76 different stories. And what I found that those had in common who had problems with the low carbing for a long time, had been doing very low carb consistently, often for at least 6 months and over a year in many cases, and very low carb, meaning like under 20 grams, which is the induction phase of Atkins, which Atkins himself, I think, was wise maybe in not saying you need to continue this level of carb restriction indefinitely. And what I had also done with my patients was I like variety in diets, and so I thought it was important to allow them up to 70 grams of carbs a day. So while it's important for us to spend some time in ketosis, many days, this is my belief, some days I think it's important for us to actually be not burning fat, which is the state of ketosis, but burning sugar, and not only that, perhaps having so much excess sugar that we're able to store it as fat. Because we know the low carb diet is much better than the standard American diet, but we don't know how long ketogenesis is good for us. How long, there's no literature, so little literature on ketogenesis. There's certainly no literature whatsoever on extended periods of ketogenesis. So we simply don't know, and you can imagine that in traditional societies, people would be tied to the seasons, and there would be times of certain, the fruits, delicious, irresistible abundance. So probably past my time.
Thank you. So speaking of extended periods of ketogenesis, our next speaker is Dr. Ron Rosedale. drrosedale.com is his website. And he's one of the originators of a very high-fat, moderate protein, low-carbohydrate diet. And so Dr. Rosedale, hearing the first three speakers, they seem to kind of talk about things that run counter to what you